Hello and welcome to Crypto Weeklies. In this video, we analyze XRP, none of the content financial advice. This is the price of XRP with respect to the regression based fair value and the undervaluation territory. This chart is available on cryptoweeklies.com, link on the bottom of your screen. That's my website. Over here under the diminished decay regression based models, the fair value of XRP is at around $2.60. If you go and check the current price of XRP over here, you'd find that it's at around $1.40. Its price is above the 200-week simple moving average, which is $1.17, and the 300-week simple moving average, which is at $1. Typically, at the bear market bottoms, the price goes below 200-week and the 300-week, like it did back in 2022 as well as in 2020 and late 2019. So XRP is one of the older cryptos. We have a lot of data for this analysis today. The regression based fair value, this is mathematically derived fair value of XRP with using years of data since about 2017, now almost 9 years later. The fair value of XRP is around $2.60. Typically where great deals are, again, this is non-linear interpretation of the fair value. Typically great deals are at 2 standard deviation or lower band drawn from the fair value. That's the 2 standard deviation residual from the fair value. In February 2026, this line was hit and the price action held that line as a support. I'm not saying that the slope of the line has to stay intact. If the bearish tidings were to continue, likely that the slope flattens out rather than this huge upward bias that XRP has enjoyed largely through the series of higher highs and higher lows all the way since June 2022. Majority of the lows were higher than before, again ignoring this downturn in between April 2024 to July 2024 aside. And then there was a phenomenal rally after November 2024, which lasted again essentially from 50 cents to 5x to 5 to 6x to $3 level in early January 2025. Now, after that major move, the price is kind of consolidating and forming that market cycle bottom for this 2026 bear market. This area, not likely the eventual low. The eventual low could go as low as about this. At this point, with the evidence that we have, could be slightly lower than a dollar for XRP, and which is typically a zone of confluence, because that blue line over here at around slightly under $1 is where the 300-week simple moving average is at around the green line over here. So some zone of confluence with those two distinct models. So wanted to highlight that before we continue the video. In the short term, if let's say the rally that is ongoing in the crypto market, if XRP participates in that rally, the first major milestone for XRP to the upside is at around $1.90. That's the 1 standard deviation lower band drawn from the fair value. So that is a shorter term target for XRP, provided that this lower band 2 keeps on holding as support like it did from February 2026 all the way through now in May 2026. So the next interpretation of XRP's current valuation is with respect to the time weighted average price, or the TWAP analysis. This looks at the overall price action through the lens of gravity of time. That means what is the digestible price action through the years of data? What's the natural state of XRP's price action, where the white line over here is where the baseline value for XRP's price has been created with years worth of trading, taking all daily averages of daily price action since 2017 and assigning them equal value to form one time weighted average price analysis. And based on the proportional difference between the price and the time weighted average price, these color codes or risk levels are assigned. The warmer color codes are where high risk and distribution occurs. That means the price has extended so far away from the time weighted average price that it is borrowing from the future, whereas whenever the price is going sub the white line, where the colors are cooler colors such as purple, dark blue or sky blue color, that is between risk level 1 to 3, that's where essentially my price is below the time weighted average price, especially in that purple color where the entering at that point is where market has historically spent very little time, like it did in bear market 2022. So accumulating below the white line over here at the risk level 1, where is it's either at the time weighted average price or slightly below the time weighted average price. Not the worst idea. Again, that doesn't mean that the returns will never be negative. So for example, in 2018 the time weighted average price was $1, whereas the price action bottomed at 14 cents, which was from that dollar level it was an 85% correction. Nonetheless, if there is a recovery on the other side, accumulating below the time weighted average price was not the worst idea, as XRP continued to make new highs in the third bull market. This was the first bull market in 2018, then the second one in 2021. It did not form a new all-time high due to its own regulation related concerns, and then in 2025 again made a new all-time high. So where is the current risk level with respect to accumulation for XRP? It's in the zone where one could argue that the accumulation territory has potentially has potentially arrived. It at the drop in 2026 February, the risk level was risk level 5, when the difference between the price and the time weighted average price was only 50%. But since that, there has been a series of rallies, and now that the difference between the price and the time weighted average price is almost 69%. The time weighted average price is 82 cents. Again, this is a growing function, and the way the time weighted average price moves is it does not move just because one price point has kind of distorted the overall trend, but for it to move, it requires a significant conviction over time rather than temporary volatility. So for example, when the price moved from 50 cents to almost $3, which was essentially a 6x, the time weighted average price moved from 52 cents to almost 62 cents. So only 10 cents, considering that kind of a high volatility move to the upside, could only pull the time weighted average price as a magnet. But because of years worth of data, the magnitude of that move was shorter than the volatility in the price action, which is a great sign for a model, because it kind of tunes out the noise but still holds the trend together. So for example, if there is a continued downturn, the time weighted average price moves down like it did from 2018 to about 2020, and now it has moved up to the upside. If the trend continues, there is a likelihood that the time weighted average price goes to $1, meets the price action over there again, and provides a tertiary zone of confluence with that time weighted average price and the 300-week simple moving average and the lower one band that we saw on the regression model. So these kind of data points are pointing to an area where the risk level 5, again in the bear market, is kind of a precarious territory, not close enough to the fair value or to the time weighted average price to warrant a major accumulation, but not too overvalued like it is in the euphoria phases of a bull run. So right now it is at that hanging at a cliff. If let's say the price action plummets in later half of 2026 and catches up to the time weighted average price, maybe in quarter 3 or early quarter 4, then that would usher another series of accumulation territory for XRP. Overall, what we have is, with respect to the machine learning models, right now the bull run is kind of out of scope, or the bull case is kind of out of scope with that euphoria ceilings that we typically discuss in the bull market. The time series forecasting based model using confidence levels derived from standard deviations and seasonal ARMA based time series interpretation of time series forecast and LSTM based forecast tied together, this model says that in the next 6 months, if there is a continuation of a downturn without major panic, the price action floor kind of sits at around 57 cents. But if let's say if there are only 4 more bearish months or 3 more bearish months first, then the floor is at around 76 cents. If there is only a couple of bearish months, so for example from mid-May to mid-July, early July, then it's at around 76 cents. If it takes 3 more bearish months, then the floor is at around 67 cents. If only one bearish month, then the floor is at around 85 cents for XRP. So that's what is forecasted by the machine learning model with one standard deviation or 68 percentile non-panic bear case for XRP. In the coming days or weeks, what is likely going to happen is, again, if there is a correction sometime after that rally kind of gets over, the base bear target for, or the base bear case for XRP is at around 78 cents, which is again as mentioned by the time weighted average price. Although that would be the price would go slightly lower than the time weighted average price, but it's typical in the bear market bottom that at the floors the price goes in the last bear market went about 42% negative from the time weighted average price at the floor. In the bear market prior to that, 70%. So again, it's, if let's say from 70% this improvement is at 42%, this time around goes 20% sub the time weighted average price would be, if the time weighted average price is at $1, a 20% discount on that dollar would be at around 80 cents. So that's the bear case target. Again, this is not just one model, this is a confluence of the time weighted average price risk, the 20-week simple moving average risk, and the regression risk weighed together to get that base bear target at around 80 cents. If there is somewhat of a panic in the market without a major recession in the macro environment, then the panic floor for XRP is at around 63 cents, which is roughly speaking 50% lower than the current price. Base bear target is 40% lower than the current price, and if we get into a recessionary territory, then the 70% correction from here could be on cards. With that, trying to conclude on a hopeful note, estimated bull target using the same models and just flipping them around to forecast a bull case rather than a bear case. The base bullish case for XRP for the next bull run is at around $3.20, which is roughly from here is at around 2.5x. But let's say if the floor is at around 80 cents, from 80 cents to getting to $3.20, that's a 4x. If the from the panic floor, if the price action that a panic floor of about 60 cents, if the from that panic floor, if it the bull floor or the bull ceiling is at around $4.80, that's from the floor to the peak, that's about an 8x. With that, I would like to conclude. Right now, price action still not testing the 200-week simple moving average, comes with a risk level 5, time weighted average price risk. Floors predicted, the first primary floor is at around $1, and using the estimated bear bottoms in the short term, in the midterm, then medium to long term, the floor could be at around 80 cents. And in the shorter term, if the rally were to continue, the support level for that rally is, the ceiling level for that rally in the short term is at around, roughly speaking, somewhere between $1.90 to $2. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give a like and subscribe, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day.